All right, Shalom. We're the Hebrew Israelites. First off, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. That will honor the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and blessings to you, Akim, that's out there pushing out this word in sincerity and in truth. What we want to get into is this false hell doctrine that our people are still captivated by and still believe in. You know, there's just a false understanding of what hell is according to the scriptures, you know. There's that understanding that hell is some place underneath the ground in the core of the earth or whatever, where it's Satan, you know, where Satan dwells, and he's poking you with a pitchfork all day, and you're burning, you know, forever. You know, that's not true, man. That's a false doctrine. So we're gonna go into the scriptures and see what the scriptures say about hell. You know, and then and throughout the scriptures, you know, hell is either referring to the grave, or it's referring to a time of affliction, tribulation, or hard times, oppression. You know, oppression, you know. So we're going to So this is Jonah chapter 2, verse 2. I'll start at verse 1. Then Jonah prayed unto Yahweh his power out of the fish's belly, and said, I cried by reason of mine affliction unto Yahweh, and he heard me. Out of the belly of hell cried I, and thou heardest my voice.
Right, out of the belly of hell, the belly of that animal, you know, or it's basically saying, man, Jonah was catching affliction in the bellies, or in the whales, not the whale, the fish. Salakia. It says fish. Jonah was catching hell, or I don't even want to use that word. He was catching affliction and being oppressed in his belly, man. It was dark as hell for 3 days, 3 days and 3 nights. You know, you can't even imagine how bad that was.
Right. So if you were to believe that hell was someplace underneath the earth where Satan was dwelling, poking you with a pitchfork, then you'd have to believe that also the belly of a fish is hell. So then that people's souls are going to go into the belly of a fish. You got to think about this, man. These are things that you have to question yourself if you have that philosophy. You know, if you have that doctrine in your mind. And it's not talking about that. It's saying clearly, you know, Jonah was going through a hard time of affliction, man, which is catching hell. You know, you hear that all the time, man. Jake says, man, I'm catching hell on my job, you know, or this and that and the third. What does that mean? That doesn't mean that they're in a pit underground or whatever, you know, so to speak, not a pit underground, but they're getting poked by a pitchfork with a demon messing with them, you know. Day in and day out while they're being burnt all the day long. Nah, man, it's a hyperbole just to put forth put you in a position to where you can understand what that person's going through, man. You know how he felt. You know the affliction that he was catching, man. That's all it is. It's a condition of being, man.
Yeah, even they say a white man's heaven is a black man's hell.
Right.
The white man in rulership is us being afflicted, man, and us being at the bottom, basically.
Right.
In the dirt, you know, basically lower than the dirt that we walk on. That's how it is, you know. Go ahead, bring that back out.
Yeah, this is Jonah 2:2, and said, I cried by reason of mine affliction. Right there, mine affliction.
Yeah, God.
Unto Yahweh, and he heard me. Out of the belly of hell cried I.
Right, out of the belly of hell. He wasn't in the middle of the earth. He was just being afflicted in the fish. That's all it was. Affliction. You know?
Yeah, and just another point, just to cut it even more, for you to believe that what people believe, you know, you go to hell once you die. You know, it says right here, we know that Jonah was still alive. He didn't die in the fish. You know what I'm saying? He didn't die and come back to life. No. He was still alive, and he was going through his affliction, you know.
Right, and this is on like America. Being in America is like how they try to say hell is. You got Satan ruling, and you got fire everywhere, man. That's kind of how America is. You got spiritual fire, man. Spiritual. That's what we go through. We go through spiritual fire day in and day out. You know, because we're going through that purification process, and you got what? Satan ruling. I mean, it's similar, but they try to twist it and make it this whole big fairy tale. And Jake be wooed off them fairy tales, man. You know, so that's what they try to do. but really it's just talking about affliction. And sometimes when it says heaven, it's talking about the people that's being in rulership and that's not being afflicted. You know? Go ahead and get your precept.
This is Amos 9:2. Though they dig into hell, thence shall my hands take them.
Though they dig into hell, why would anyone try to dig to hell? Why, to go visit Satan? Is that why? You know, it's not talking about trying to reach the core of the earth. It's talking about, when it says digging to hell, it's talking about they just digging into the grave or digging into the earth, man.
Right.
Go ahead.
Thence shall my hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. So they heaven.
They try to climb up into heaven by you know, the satellites that they got in the air, and the stuff that they put out in the air. They got weapons out there, man, because they know that the Lord is gonna come back. They know the Lord is gonna come back, so they're gonna try to stop him from coming on the earth before he even gets on the earth, man. They actually think that they can beat the Lord in war.
Right. They're going to flee from him, man. You know, they're going to be in great terror. They're going to flee. That's why they're going to be going up there trying to avoid their judgment. Ultimately, you know, they're trying to avoid their judgment for all the wickedness and the sins that they built up. But ultimately, they're trying to hide. And they're going to be, well, that's why I said in the scriptures, they're going to, though they dig into the ground, what's that talking about? That's talking about them bunkers, man, them underground bunkers. You can look those up now, man. Those military bases that are underground, they're going to go and try and hide to shield themselves from these nuclear missiles, you know, to try and shield themselves from all the destruction and separate, you know.
They're trying to dodge their judgment.
Right.
You know, they're trying to avoid the wrath of the Lord, but it can't be avoided, man.
Right.
You can't go wherever you want. You think you can hide from the Lord? Hey, the scripture we just read in Jonah, he tried to escape the will of Abinah and Yahweh. And guess what? The Lord got his ass still. So you Edomites can dig into the hell, which is digging into the earth and have bunkers. You can try and do that. You can try and do that. Come on, what are you doing? Playing dead now. Go ahead. Go ahead, bring that scripture back out.
This is Amos 9:2. Though they dig into hell, then shall my hands take them. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down.
Start from the top one more time, Baba Kushel.
Amos 9:2. Though they dig into hell,
right? Though you got them bunkers, you try to hide in them bunkers. Keep going.
Then shall my hand take them.
We still gonna get your ass. Keep going.
Though they climb up to heaven, this will I bring them down.
Right. So you climb into heaven, which that's talking about the basically there's three heavens. You know, there's the sky, there's outer space, and then there's like the spiritual world. And then also you can even say a fourth one would be the people that's in rulership. You know, so when it says that, it's talking about the second heaven, which is the outer space. You know, but you got a precept.
This is at Revelations 20, starting at verse, I'll go with verse 13. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them.
Read that again.
And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them. And they were judged every man according to their works. And that's even going to that judgment, because what the Lord's going to be doing in that time, people that have already died or whatnot, they're going to be risen back up from the grave. You know, they're going to be risen back to either receive that nuclear missile or to be delivered in those chariots by the Lord, you know. And this is the next verse. It says, and death and hell were cast into the lake of fire.
I thought hell was the lake of fire. So clearly you have a misunderstanding of this this hell ideology, man.
Right.
Clearly you have a misunderstanding of it, because it says hell, which isn't hell a place of burning fire, was cast into the lake of fire. That wouldn't make sense. Fire, why would you cast fire into fire? It just doesn't make sense at all. You know, if you
I was just gonna say, so what the Lord grabbed all of hell that's in the middle of the earth, and Satan and everybody, and then threw them into a fire on earth. It doesn't make sense, man. The Lord isn't the author of confusion, man.
Right, now we're going to give you the understanding when it says, and death and hell was cast into the lake of fire, meaning that death of our people, because we are no more going to be, we're going to be immortal. In the kingdom of heaven, we are going to have immortal flesh, man. Which thus saith the scriptures. And then it says hell, meaning our oppression, our captivity, is cast into the lake of fire, meaning all that stuff is going to be left here in America. Because the lake of fire is America. It's not underground. It's not underground where a red guy with pitchforks is ruling. It's on earth with a red guy ruling, you know, that has a suit on and a bare-shaved face. That's what hell is, man. Hell is these so-called white people, these Edomites being in rulership.
Right.
Under the Israelites. That's what hell is. It says when the righteous are in rulership, the people are rejoiced. But when the wicked are in rulership, the people mourn. So right now, the wicked is in rulership, so everyone is mourning. Everybody is in a state of hell. Specifically, our people, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man. The true Israelites that the Bible speaks of, you know. You can read that one more time?
This is verse Revelations 20 and 14. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death.
Keep going.
And
this is the second death. The first death is what? The flood. The second, and then the Lord made a covenant with Noah that he would not, he would not destroy the earth with water. So this time he's going to destroy it with another pure,
cleaning agent.
Cleaning agent, which is fire, and that's the second death that it's talking about. He's going to kill. He's going to kill a lot of people. Hey, Isaiah 66 and 16. The slain of the Lord shall be many, man. So, keep going.
And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire.
Right. If you're not the 1/3 that's destined to be delivered out of America, man, then you're going to be stuck in America. And the missiles is going, the Lord's going to light this bitch on fire, man.
Right.
With them intercontinental ballistic missiles, which is also prophesied in the scriptures. Everything that we say is backed by scriptures, man. You know? You got precept?
I was just going to go into that Job.
Job 3.
Yeah. This is Job chapter 3, starting at verse...
Start at 11.
Yeah, this is Job chapter 3 and 11. Why died I not from the womb? Why did I not give up the ghost when I came out of the belly?
Right, because Job, he was catching a lot of hell. So he was like... He basically like, man, why didn't I just stay in the spiritual world, you know? Why didn't I just stay in the spiritual world? Why did I have to come on this earth? And he's going to further go into that.
Why did the knees prevent me? Or why the breast that I should suck? For now should I have lain still and been quiet.
Right, basically you just said, why didn't
Shut up.
Why didn't, read that part again?
It says, for now should I have lain still.
Well, at first he said, why did the knees prevent me, or the breast that I sucked, meaning why did my mom have me, basically. Keep going.
For now should I have lain still and been quiet. I should have slept. Then had I been at rest.
Yeah, he would have been at rest if he stayed in the spiritual world. Keep going.
With kings and counselors of the earth, which built desolate places for themselves, or with princes that had gold, who filled their houses with silver, or as in hidden untimely birth, I had not been, as infants which never saw light.
Right, why didn't my mom just have a miscarriage, basically? Keep going.
There the wicked cease from troubling.
Right, the spiritual world, the wicked is also there. They're not in hell. Everyone, now get Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter. Hold that real fast. Ecclesiastes 3. All right, go ahead.
It says, there the wicked cease from troubling, and there the weary be at rest.
You got it? Ecclesiastes, I think it's... Ecclesiastes chapter 3. Maybe it's...
I got it.
3 and 16. More brought salt in the sun. Oh,
Nah,
I got Ecclesiastes 12 and 7.
That's probably it. Go ahead and get that. That's what it is.
Then shall the dust, this is Ecclesiastes 12 and 7. Then shall the dust return to the earth.
The dust, meaning your body, shall return to the earth where it came from. Keep going.
As it was. And the spirit shall return.
And the spirit, because the word body goes back to a Greek word bodhi, meaning Salaki, I think I just messed that up. Oh no, that's right. The word body goes back to a Greek word bodhi, which means house. Your body is as a house for your spirit. You know, so when you leave this house, you just go back to where you came from, man. You go back into the spiritual world. You know, start from the top.
This is Ecclesiastes 12 and 7. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto the Most High who gave it.
Exactly. So when you die, your body goes into the dirt or to the grave, and your spirit goes back up. It doesn't go down. It doesn't go down into hell, which is what everybody thinks, but it goes back up to the Heavenly Father, man, that created it. He's the Father of spirits, you know? And then in Job, when you go back to Job, go ahead.
It says, Job 3 and 17, there the wicked cease from troubling.
Right, so even the wicked, when they die, the same thing. Same process. Their body goes into the dirt, and their spirit goes back to the Heavenly Father. Start from the top of that.
There the wicked cease from troubling.
Keep going.
And there the weary be at rest.
Exactly, because the Lord has order up there. The Lord has order up there. That's why it says in Matthew 6, it says on earth as it is in heaven, because then he's going to put that same type of order on earth, where the wicked is going to cease from troubling, man. The wicked is not going to have no rulership, just like how it is in heaven, you know, in the spiritual world. And then it says that the weary cease from, bring that back out.
It says, there the wicked cease from troubling, and there, Salakia, there the wicked cease from troubling, and there the weary be at rest.
Right, and then the weary be at rest. That's when you. That's why the scriptures say, the day of death is better than the day of birth. Why? Because you get to rest in the spiritual world, man. Because when you die, you go back into the spiritual world and you get rest. But when you on earth, you have to do laborious work that makes you weariful. You know. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna go into it. This is verse 18. There the prisoners rest together. They hear not the voice of the oppressor. The small and great are there, and the servant.
The small and the great is there. Hey, the smallest people on the earth is the Edomites. They're the most wickedest people, man. They also is up in the spiritual world, you know. And the greatest people, meaning the Israelites, is also there. Everyone goes back to the spiritual world. Go ahead.
And the servant is free from his master.
Right. And we free from our duties, basically. We at rest. That's what the spiritual world is about. Keep going.
Wherefore is light given to him that is in misery, and life unto the bitter in soul.
Exactly, because there's no illnesses in the spiritual world. You know, you don't get sick. There's no cancer. There's no fluoridated water. There's no genetically modified foods. There's no chemtrails in the air. You're at rest from all this oppression, all this hell that you're catching on earth, man. Keep going.
Wherefore is light given to him that is in misery, and life unto the bitter in soul, which long for death, but it cometh not, and dig for it more than for hid treasures, which rejoice exceedingly and are glad when they can find the grave.
Con, get that. I got it in here. Psalms.
But it even tells you that who was it? Was it Saul? You know that
86.
or what? Yeah, Saul, when he started getting those demons on him, he tried to call on dang, I'm trying to think of who it was. He tried to call on
he called on Samuel.
Yeah, he called on Samuel, you know, in the spiritual realm.
He was mad as fuck.
And Samuel was mad because what? He was in his rest.
Yeah.
You know? Because you get that rest in the spiritual world, man. You don't, because these bodies in itself is a part of catching that hell. Because you got
chains of darkness, man.
It's the chains of darkness, exactly.
These bodies, being in these bodies is hell. It says that. You get that in 1 Peter's. 1 Peter's 2 and 4, I believe.
2 Peter,
2 Peter's 2 and 4. Get Romans 7 and 29.
2 Peter.
23.
Hmm?
Now, go ahead.
2 Peter 2 and 4. For if the Most High spared not the angels that sinned, but cast
Right, them angels that it's talking about is us. Keep going. Because angel just reads messenger. Read on.
For if the Most High
It's not talking about Salakia. It's not talking about Satan and his angels. The Satan who Satan was fighting against the Lord, and then the Lord cast him into hell. That's not talking about that, man. It's not talking about that. And whoever taught you that does not know the scriptures, and the Lord is not dealing with them, man. It's talking about the angels, us, the Lord, the sons of the Lord. You know, the children of the Lord was cast into. Keep going.
For if the Most High spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell.
Right, cast them down to hell. That's why he put us in these weak bodies, man. Our forefathers was living up to 900 years plus, you know. But now it's a celebration for Jake to make it past 18. That's this hell though. That's this oppression that we catching in America. You know. Go ahead.
And deliver them into chains of darkness.
He delivered us into chains of darkness. Now let's see what the chains of darkness is. Go ahead.
Okay, this is Romans chapter 7, verse 18.
No, 28. So 23.
Oh, all right, con. But I see another law in my members, warring against,
Right, he's seen another law in his flesh, in his body. Keep going.
warring against the law of my mind,
His spirit. Keep going.
and bringing me into captivity
Bringing me into captivity, chains of darkness. Go ahead.
to the law of sin which is in my members.
To the law of sin which is in my members, because this is a sin. This is sinful flesh that we have, that our spirit is dwelling in. It says that our basically our mind is desperately wicked. This flesh is desperately wicked, man. You know.
Is that-
Let me finish that. To be reserved
Wisdom Solid 9-14.